Okay, I think we all have our agendas in front of us. First item on the agenda is citizens' input. Oh, yeah, okay, that's true. Pursuant to the open meeting law, any person may make an audio or video recording of this public meeting or may transmit the meeting through any medium. Attendees are therefore advised that such recordings or transmissions are being made whether perceived or unperceived by those present and are deemed acknowledged and permissible. Thank you for reminding me of that. Okay, first item on the agenda is citizen input. Will there be any citizen input?
Nobody signed up for citizens.
Okay. Item number 2, tabled matters, minutes of the July 21st, 2021 meeting. I think we all have been given that in our electronic mailings. I just need a little bit of clarification as to why did we table this last time? I think, was it something to do with Renee not being, questioning whether she had
She
the
wasn't
right
here.
to?
And I don't think we had a quorum to vote.
Right.
Right, yeah, exactly,
So
so.
I have to abstain.
Yeah,
Okay, that's what I thought it was
yeah,
for.
Right.
All right.
member Bernier wasn't here, but, member Howiak was here. She wasn't at this meeting, so wouldn't be able to vote
Yeah,
on
she
it,
couldn't,
so.
yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Unless anybody had any questions or want to make any comments about it, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of.
Motion is set.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We don't need a roll call,
I
right,
need to
Paul?
start an aye.
Okay, very good. Minutes of the previous meeting held on December 7th, 2021. Again, you've all had an opportunity to read it through. If you have any questions or comments, want to bring it up. If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of December 7th.
Motion made.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
I think Commissioner Bernie has to abstain, right? He was out.
Yeah, Commissioner Bernier wasn't present at that meeting, so it would be an abstention.
Okay, item 4. Fiscal year 2023 rates and budget. We've all been provided the proposed rates and budget for fiscal year 2023. I believe what we're proposing is a rate of $5.75 per CCF, and the stormwater rate, which will remain the same at $47, am I correct?
Yes.
Okay, this particular sewer rate is an increase of, I believe it's 8 cents
8 cents per CCF.
per CCF over the present budget we're in now,
Correct.
correct? Okay. Paul, what is it you want to mention?
Yeah, so if you want, I'll do a presentation on the budget and how we got to this rate. So as the president mentioned, we're looking for a rate of $5.75 to support the FY23 budget. The total sewer budget is in the amount of $26,603,402. That's the total amount of the budget. It's an 8-cent increase from past years. What that does for an average household per year is $4.24. That's what it,
That's an increase of $4.20, isn't it? Right?
$4.24 to the average household
Okay.
increase above what they paid this past year. So if you want, what I'll do, I'll go through, run through some of the changes within the budget. So last fiscal year, as we were going through the budget process, the council asked for us to reduce the amount of retained earnings or free cash that we used as a revenue source within the budget. Myself with the financial team at that time, we drafted a policy that we would use 10% less free cash than what's certified starting off this year. And for the next 5 years, we would drop that down by 10% per year until after 5 years, we were only using 50% of the certified free cash within the budget. Not using all of our certified free cash within our budget is an excellent policy because next year we may not have that free cash to be able to use in the budget. You know, so that's one-time monies going into the budget that we're not sure whether we'll have the following fiscal year. So we don't want to be reliant on retained earnings, but it always has been used in the past as a way to minimize rate increases. So what we did, so our retained earnings that was certified this past year in FY '22 were actually the retained earnings left over from FY '21. Those retained earnings were very high from FY '21. So what I did is I took the amount of retained earnings that we used in last year's budget, which was roughly about 1.9 million, and I figured to use 10% less than what we had in last year's budget in retained earnings. So we're using 1.73 million in the FY '23 budget of retained earnings. We do have that retained earnings that is certified. So retained earnings that were retained this past year, if you remember, in FY '22, we did not have an increased rate for the first 6 months of the budget year. So we took retained earnings and we plugged it into the FY '22 budget. So 300,000 went from retained earnings into the FY '22 budget. But we still had enough retained earnings left over to be able to plug into the budget here. So that was a reduction in a revenue source, so that needed to be made up, and it was part of that rate increases related to that. One of the other things that was a pretty big increase that we budgeted for this year was our chemicals and our sludge disposal.
Yeah, I saw that. It's like at least a 5% on the chemicals.
Yeah, you know, chemicals are gonna be tough this year. You know, coming out of COVID and coming out of everything else with the supply chain issues and other issues that were going on, you know, we were already planning on some fluctuation within some raw materials that we use within our process. Most recently, with everything else going on over the past 3 weeks, the volatility of the market is phenomenal. The budget that I've prepared for FY '23, our budget process starts in December. Budget gets put together in January. February is when it's all worked out and, you know, numbers come together, the rates are done. And end of February is when I present it to the administration. So, you know, I was looking back then, trying to project out what the costs are gonna be come July to June. You know, so I just wanna make everybody aware that this budget was based on our projections that were, you know, 2 months ago. You know, things that have changed since then.
Look at the price of gas.
Correct.
Where it's gone in the last week.
You know, price of gas has doubled in the past week. You know, looking at our fuel that we put into our vehicles, that increase is not included in this budget. I can tell you that much. You know, I think we're gonna have trouble coming into FY '23 to begin with. Big issue with the total volatility of the market, whether it be raw materials, whether it be supplies, whether it be fuel, or anything in relation. I think we're gonna FY '23 is gonna be a tough budget to manage throughout the fiscal year. One good thing, since we are reducing the amount of free cash that we're using as a revenue source within the FY '23 budget, that does leave us as a balance of certified free cash. So that's almost a small savings account. I'm looking at it right now as a savings account, so if we do have major disruptions in some of our supplies, we'll be able to take that free cash and use it back into the budget.
That's
Not
good.
an ideal thing to do, but it's a very, very good place to be right now.
Good.
So,
It's good.
so if you want, what I'll do, I'll run through the budget and tell you any specific changes on line items throughout.
I got one, Paul,
Yep.
that I was surprised in looking at. I really thought would be, as an expense, it would have been higher, but I guess, I mean, you know your numbers, but other purchase services, based on, you know, for this budget over the previous year, I thought for sure it would be more than about, we're up 120,000, but but the way, you know,
Yep.
that, a lot of that is a sludge going out the door, being shipped out, going to wherever in the world that we're shipping it and so forth and so on. And
Yeah, so
I'm surprised that it's that low.
the increase right now is that low because we're doing the major upgrades at the facility. One of the things within the contract too, which is the one that we're doing now down at the wastewater treatment plant, is all of the dewatering operations for sludge and stuff like that. So within our contract, there's a certain responsibility for us. We didn't want to leave the contract open-ended, so there's a certain responsibility and a certain cost associated to assist us with our sludge disposal when we don't have dewatering capabilities. So that's why this did not change a lot, because we do have that built, a portion of that built within our contract for construction cost.
All right, so what you're saying is you're anticipating at some point in this fiscal year that we're looking at, that you're gonna be doing some dewatering that will, in a sense, reduce the amount of tonnage or reduce the amount of liquid going out, which will reduce the cost.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, good.
So, yeah, so that was one that was minorly increased throughout the budget. Our indirect cost paid back to the city has stayed constant. Indirect transfer to the general fund is just over $1.4 million. The $100,000 that the council wanted us to include within our budget to transfer to stabilization, that's included within this budget as well, so.
Still 100,000, right?
100,000, yep, to go to stabilization. Within our salary line items, that's just contractual increases throughout that line item. As you run through some of these other items, on the lower end of this page, there's been some minor tweaking just based on cost, but overall you get to the bottom of the line item, there hasn't been a large increase. The only other one is water sewer CSO charges. As we know, the sewer department pays for water and CSO charges at all of its facilities, as well as water department pays for sewer. And with new water meters, we have seen an increase in the billables to the sewer department for water usage down at our plant. Electricity, I think, is going to be an extremely volatile market, following fuel prices as well as everything else. And the one good thing in relation to that, we are locked in to a delivery rate, not a delivery rate, but a unit price rate on a conglomerate contract for the city. We're locked into an extremely favorable rate at this time. So as long as there's no out of the box, there's no weird contractual obligation if there's major, a force majeure or something like that, we should be pretty constant within our electricity. That's our expectation at this point. But again, that could turn into one of these volatile changing markets. So
Is the that rate that we're contracted to?
Yep.
Is that rate only for the plant?
No.
Well, what about the pumping stations? Or those
It's
fall?
all
All
city facilities.
Also, so it has the same rate.
Yep. So it's a city rate. School department, government centers, all of our facilities
Okay,
get the
that's
same rate. We've verified, our staff has verified, because the contract was just done about a year ago, 8 months ago.
Who'd you contract with, if I may ask? It's not, is it Constellation?
Yes, Constellation.
Constellation?
It
Yep.
is? Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all right, okay.
And
Yeah, they're
yes,
pretty competitive.
yeah, they, like I said, it was really favorable rate.
Good.
Because we got, once we went into the new rate, I had the staff check all of our facilities, make sure they fell underneath that contract. And we had one of the small ones that wasn't, and to see the difference in the actual rate was
That's good.
surprising.
That's good.
Question.
I see where debt service is reduced by $400,000.
Which was a-
Rich's debt service,
Yep, debt service, we had one large debt come off the books in
Yeah,
the
that's-
past, yeah.
that's significant.
Yeah.
To what we're trying to do.
Yeah, exactly. No, and it's, And it's tough. You're always seeing some fall off. Now we're almost in the role where some of the beginning CSO projects are starting to come off. It's not going to be in every year dropping off, but we do, our staff, we do track it out with a full spreadsheet, showing when debt service, was occurred, the fiscal year that we're in, and when the debt service comes offline. So we had one that fell off. It was $137,000. Will be the last payment. We had one prior fiscal year, $129,000. But we will have additional ones coming on the books. We do have contract one that's just going to be coming on the book soon, and within a couple of years we're going to have contract 2. So
Contract 2 is what, 40 million, right?
51 is the total.
Yeah. Between the two.
Yeah, between the construction and the engineering services.
Okay. Go ahead.
So, as we continue down the line, other professional services, that's the yearly increase based on the O&M contract. We've spoken about other purchase services, which is primarily related to our sludge disposal. Chemicals, substantial increase there. We got projections of up to 60% for sodium hypochlorite, which is one of the largest chemicals that we use the most of. That's for the disinfection of the water prior to us sending it out. So that will be we did budget at that time. We haven't received any bids yet, but we'll be moving forward with that. Other improvements stayed flatlined at $80,000 for capital improvements, and as you said, the debt service was reduced.
Well, the water sewer CSO charge,
Yes.
that went up like $36,000.
Yes.
Was there a couple of new facilities that came on board or something?
So we just did a citywide meter replacement project in the water department. So there was some facilities
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I forgot about that.
that were getting more accurate water readings at.
Alrighty.
So
So this is already going up to the 6th floor.
yeah, so prior to March 3rd, which was 120 days prior to the start of the fiscal year, this was presented to the administration.
Okay.
So, just if you want a couple more things, I kind of wanted just to mention the free cash again. We do have a reserve left over, so if we need it throughout the year, due to market volatility, we will have it. Capital improvements. I just want to run through what we have budgeted. It's a medium duty pickup truck. An emergency repairs for $20,000. Detention basin and swale improvements, and then we budgeted $15,000 for a CSO notification program, which is being required by DEP.
Is that the 80,000?
That totals up to 80,000. Those 4 items.
Okay.
I have a question on the postage.
Yep.
So are we trying to get that reduced by having people sign in for like electronic receipt of bills?
So, yeah, it's tough because the collections is done by the collector's office downstairs. They don't have the option right now for people to be able to opt out of their paper bills. That is something that we've had discussions with them about, because I know a lot of people are receiving their bills by email. Prior to this past year, if you went to pay your water or sewer bill online, you weren't able to view the bill. We got it now where you're able to view the full bill, so I think the next step is going to be to try to work with them to be able to opt out of the program. I know one thing that we are doing with within the billing system is, we're continuing to update email addresses and stuff like that too, because building that email database is another option for us to be able to email out bills rather than do that. So it is different things that we're looking at without a doubt, and we're gonna try to work them in over a little bit of time here.
Paul, if, with respect to natural gas for heat, do we rely on Liberty Utilities for that, or do we go out and,
So that's through Liberty Utilities.
is it? I know my rate from Liberty Utilities went up 44%. And you're, I mean, I'm not questioning what you're saying it will end up being, but you're saying it's gonna be the same as last year.
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
Again, it's a volatility within the market, but the one thing that we do have is, in contract one, we did install newer boilers, so high efficiency boilers. We're expecting a substantial savings from the older
alright.
style boilers that we have in the facility, so.
All right.
Plus, we have one less building now, the incinerator building to heat for this fiscal year, because it was demolished, so, I think there will be increases coming again with that, but.
Yeah, I think we're all suffering from it.
When I looked at it, I was comfortable carrying,
All right, good.
Well, with the electric, we have that protection in the sense that we belong to a group. Do we have that for gas as well? Is that available as well?
I'm not sure if that's available, because I'm not sure if you can do that on gas. With the electric grid, how it works, you can purchase the specific utility, you can purchase the electricity from a specific supplier. The gas is a whole entire system that's owned by one ownership. I'm not sure if there's different,
From my past experience, in my days when I was working in industry, we used to go out and contract gas. We would go to somebody like Liberty Utilities and say, hey, we expect to use this amount of gas, what do you expect to charge us? And then we'd go out and go to someplace like Direct Energy or even Constellation.
okay.
But you gotta have a real high volume in order to be able to convince them that to deal with you. Something like this, $70,000, what you anticipate, I don't think you'd have too much of a chance of going, unless you consolidated. Well, you got all the schools that are probably being heated by gas.
Yeah,
Right.
tell.
Yeah, unless we went with the citywide.
Somebody may wanna take a look at that and say, hey, big combination that we got here, what can you do?
Yeah, definitely, I think that's something worth looking into, just like we do with the electric.
Yeah, well, anyways, just something to bring up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
without a doubt.
Okay,
So, one other
question?
thing, go ahead.
Okay, two things. Not to change the subject. First of all, the backup generators, are they diesel?
All of the sewer backup generators are diesel, yes.
Okay, that's smart. The other thing is, I was always under the assumption that the city was self-insured.
So, water and sewer, we purchase vehicle insurance for our vehicles.
Wow.
Because of we just feel that the liability, we feel that it's prudent for what we spend per year for insurance. Since we're enterprise funds, we don't have the same, size as the general fund. And for a number of years now, 10 plus years longer than I've been here, we've been purchasing automotive insurance. Water and sewer does it. The general fund, who's DCM, police, fire, all them, they do not purchase. In
Okay.
Massachusetts, the municipality has the option to
Right,
be able to be
yeah.
self-insured. But I think because we never had a stabilization fund, we didn't have anything to back us up, and since we're enterprise funds solely funded by our ratepayers, we didn't have the ability to leverage the tax or anything like that if any large claims, so we've always carried insurance on our vehicles.
makes sense.
I think for our size, I think it's prudent, in the cost, I think it's prudent. So one other thing that I just wanted to talk about a little bit, every year, the question always comes out, because, you know, myself or Terry prior to, Mr. Sullivan prior to me, always talk about the average household and what the cost to an average household. We're always questioned about, well, how do you know what an average household is? We always base an average household uses 53 CCF per year. And everybody says, well, that's, you know, people say, that's not what my household uses.
Well, that's not
you
the
know,
average.
Right, so how do we get to that number? That's something that I was really wondering. Last year, I did a really small sample. I took a set of 20 houses, which I knew how many people lived in the houses. You know, we did a survey with some people, and we took single families, 3 families, 4 families, and an 8 family. We averaged it all out to how many CCFs were used per household. So a household could be a single family house, or it would be 3 households in a 3-family house.
Right.
So we broke that down last year out of those 20 households, and it came out to 55.25 CCFs per household. So we were pretty close. And last year, you know, I talked about this, and people questioned, well, that's only 20 houses. That's not a very good sample size. It's really minute. So this year, what I had the staff do, we went through and we did a full evaluation of excuse me, all residential properties throughout the city. So all single through 8-family houses. We didn't include any condos. We didn't include any large apartment complexes or anything like that. So we went into our accounting system and we pulled out the water usage for calendar year 2021. So it was a total of over 16,000 accounts that we pulled the water usage on. The number of households was over 31,000 households that were part of this calculation. So the average household, what we came up with, was 50.69 CCF per year is used by the average household. You know, so last year we were close. This
You
year,
want to take those statistics with you back down to the city council when he asks you again.
Exactly. You know, and you know, I wanted to do it for my own peace of mind, because it's always been 53 CCF. That's what we've always used. That's what we've said, and that was a number that was promulgated a while ago. And maybe there was some change. You know, I maybe they were using more or less. I wasn't sure. So I really wanted to be able to, you know, work the numbers and figure out what the actual usage was. So this was an exercise that was done by our staff. They did an excellent job. And actually, I was pretty surprised that it was still right there where it was from a while ago. So, you know, when we say that it's $4.24 for the average household, we're confident saying that that's the average household number.
Plus, you know, all those 3 families, half of them probably had no insulation. That's another.
Yep. So, you know, and that just shows you, you know, and again, in a single-family household with 5 people that live there, that wash their car, you know, once a week, that water their grass, they're going to be higher. You know, a multi-family with, you know, 3 single people living in the house that don't have an outside spigot,
Correct.
they're going to use less. But average worked out that way.
Very good.
So just the next thing that I wanted to talk about is the budget process, and how we're gonna be moving forward, how we expect to move forward this year with the budget. And I included in everybody's packet a memo that I wrote to the law department. And you know, I went through and I wanted to make sure we were compliant with everything this year, so I did some research. So underneath Massachusetts state law, and there's a couple of different places, there's Massachusetts state law, there's the charter and the ordinances of the city of Fall River, and guidelines and rules for enterprise funds. So all that states, the budget really starts off 120 days prior to the start of the fiscal year. The budget and rates need to be submitted to the administration. That has already been done for this budget. And now I'm here with the board presenting it to the board that oversees it. If the board approves the budget and rates, the next step would be for me to submit, for the mayor to submit them to the city council. So my hope is if the commission approves, we will, by the 15th, we'll put together a packet for the mayor to submit to the city clerk for the council's review. Based on.
Excuse me, Paul.
Yep,
The clock starts for, I think leading up to the 45 days, right?
yeah.
Where does the clock start? Does this clock start when it goes to the clerk?
To the city clerk.
Okay, all right, isn't, when they finally have a council meeting, that ain't the time.
No, from everything that I heard, it's from when it's submitted to the city clerk.
Okay,
From everything that I read, excuse me. So, by ordinance, our rates, any rate increase has to be submitted prior to April 1st, and our budgets need to be submitted prior to May 1st, so that's enterprise funds for the city of Fall River, not the general fund budget. So, to figure out our rates that need to be submitted by April 1st, we need to figure out our budget first, which has already been done. So prior to April 1st, I'm expecting about the 15th of March, somewhere thereabouts, we'll be submitting the full packet down to the city clerk. And again, that starts the clock for 45-day review period by the city council. City council will have 45 days to be able to deliberate and act on our budget and rates.
so by
Business-
June 1st, things should be done.
Should be
I
done.
mean,
Yep,
best case scenario, by June 1st, things should be done.
yep, from 45 days of submittal, they should act on our budget. 3 ways to act on it would be approve, reject, or reduce our budget. Those are the 3 actions that they could take.
Is it 45 working days or 45 days total?
45 days total.
Saturday and Sunday count? Okay.
Yep. So, again, that would be the process that, and the council has the right in those 45 days to call us down to deliberate about them, talk about them. If they don't act on it within those 45 days, July 1, the appropriation would be in place. And then, it's gonna come to the point where maybe our budget will be in place, but we may not have increased rates. Based on Massachusetts law and the enterprise fund regulations, any unfunded portion of our budget, so since we're an enterprise fund, if our revenues do not fully support our expenses, any unsupported part gets rolled onto the cherry sheet. So in other words, the tax rate, the tax levy and the cherry sheet would need to support the sewer rate if, the sewer department, if our rates do not support our budget.
But, now, when would that ever take place though? I mean, it's our duty to set a budget where we have to generate enough income to absorb the expenses that we anticipate.
Right.
Now, if when it goes to the city council and the council has a problem with an expense or a question with regard to our income, and it doesn't get resolved within the 45 days, and that discrepancy to our budget is still in place, am I hearing you to say that discrepancy has to be made up in the city budget?
Has to be made up by the tax levy.
Okay,
The revenue has to be made up.
which is a general fund, and going in with the general
Correct,
fund.
it would need to be generated by taxation.
Okay,
So not necessarily the general fund paying us, but the taxes would need to be increased by that amount to be able to pay us.
okay.
So it's
Yeah.
taken from the general fund to give to us,
But
again,
but am I that to me that's the only situation where I can see that happening.
right, but you look at what happened this past year, we did not have rate increases all the way to December. If our rates were not approved in December, the city would not have been able to get the tax rate approved without supporting our budget.
I got you.
Mm.
I got you.
Yep. So that's what happened this past year. Luckily, we were approved in December, so the tax rate was able to go through without any, allocation to the sewer fund. But if our rates weren't approved this past year, there would have been on the cherry sheet, on the tax levy, an appropriation to the sewer fund.
Why were we not approved until December? They have to prove in June? I forget what happened there.
Yeah, they finally approved the budget was approved last year. The overall, and that's why, I don't think anything was done wrong in the past, but I don't think this procedure was followed in the
It
past.
wasn't.
Our budget always got lumped in with the general fund budget, which always gets deliberated typically in June. So our budget wasn't approved till the general fund budget was approved. But then we never had rate increases. The rate increases were not acted on by council, which took them out of council. Came back to the sewer commission, we increased them by 1 penny. Then it went back to the council, which to get back into the council, it's gonna go through about 3 meetings till we can actually talk about it. And then it needs 2 meetings till final approval, so it's a long process.
So we were delayed in getting all those additional funding until December. So that impacted your budget, but we were fortunate enough that we didn't have to go to tax.
Right, we didn't go to tax, and last year, to make up that first 6 months where we did not have a rate, we had enough in the certified free cash to be able, and we did a transfer from free cash into the FY '22 budget.
So, if your research is correct, which I'm sure it is, and this goes to Corporation Counsel, if I can see you sent him what you think is proper, and he comes back and says, you're right. That's the way we should be abiding by what we need to do.
That would be my recommendation for this year and the future, yes.
Okay, so,
No.
so there's gotta be this transition of the proper way of doing it has to be brought to the council and to the administration's attention as training,
Correct.
to say, hey, this is the way we gotta go.
Yep,
Right?
correct, 100%. So my expectation, I've talked to the administration about this procedure. I've sent this to Corporation Counsel for their recommendation on it. My hope is that we'll, once we submit this to council, I'm gonna include a memo letting them know about the procedure that we plan on following this year. I don't want anybody to be surprised or say that I did not know or anything like that. I want them to be aware. If there's questions, we can answer them at that time, but we're not trying to hide anything from anybody. That's why I wanted to walk through the whole process with the commission tonight. I did it with the water board, and we will be making the council aware as well.
Okay, that's good. Yeah.
So
Okay.
sorry for the long-winded discussion
No,
on
no,
the budget, but
no, it's good.
I think it's relevant.
Okay, so, first of all, I guess you need an approval on the budget. Then we have to approve the rate,
Yes.
correct? And do you want us to, you want us to acknowledge or give you some type of acknowledgement or something to sending this new procedure?
This is an administrative procedure, so if the commission would like me to move forward, I would take that endorsement.
Anybody have any questions about wanting to do that with respect to this? No?
Well,
Okay.
you have in here the enterprise, a best practice guide.
Yep.
So is that something you obtained from another
From the state.
agency? So from the state?
Yep.
So should we as a commission adopt that, or is this something that we should use?
So it's something that we typically always follow. I don't know if that needs to be adopted. There is a couple of things within here that lay out into the whole entire procedure, but there's parts of the state law and parts of the charter too that are all part of the
So
procedure.
we follow this, we do follow. We acknowledge that we had it in our packet and that we abide by the best practice.
I think that's a good way to go. Okay, so let's deal with first thing first. With respect to the budget, anybody have any questions with respect to the proposed amount of $26,603 and $402?
No?
Any questions with respect to that, or comments? No?
The only comment I'd like to make is I appreciate the detail that Paul put behind the budget, because when I had some questions and then I was able to look behind, so good job in terms of doing that. You answered my questions through that.
Excellent.
Okay.
I would just say, as far as, I never saw this before, mission, goals, objectives.
Okay.
I love that,
Oh, thank you.
you know, and even if we post that on our website, on the, you know, to give the public
Absolutely,
information, this is what we're doing.
absolutely. Very good.
Good.
Okay, so we can take that as an item as well. So will anybody make a motion to approve the proposed budget for fiscal year 2023 at $26,603,402?
Make a motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Is opposed? None. Okay, would someone, as it's been stated by Mr. Ferlin, this all equates to a rate increase of approximately 8 cents per CCF, which equates out to a rate of $5.75 per CCF. Would anybody have any questions with regard to that? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve that rate.
Make a motion?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, with respect to the proposed stormwater rate, we're proposing $47 per ERU per quarter, which is the same rate. There is no increase from last year. So would someone make a motion to approve the rate of $47?
Make a motion.
Second?
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None. With respect to the enterprise budget procedure, based on the presentation that Mr. Ferlin has made, and as suggested by Commissioner Howiak, I think it would be a good thing for us to make a motion to acknowledge the procedure that is in place and should be followed with respect to future negotiations on the budget. Anybody want to make a motion to that effect?
Make a motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Would you want to acknowledge the mission statement?
I think so. Just a suggestion, if we could get it up on the website.
Yeah, definitely. I've made a note here too. Good.
Okay, I think we ought to acknowledge it. I think it's a good point. So, I'd like to put that into a motion, to acknowledge, make a motion to acknowledge the mission, what do we call it, the mission statement?
Mission, goals, and objectives.
Mission, goals, and objective for the Fall River Sewer Commission in the year 2023,
Make the motion.
as presented.
Second?
All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Anything else with respect to this, Paul? Okay, item number 4, is there anything else you want? All right, that takes us to item number 5. The Woodward and Curran, we're looking for an approval of $425,000 that reflects, I guess, a task order, number 18, for controls review and input. What do we want to?
So, this is a work order with Woodward and Curran, to go in cooperation with contract to, upgrade at the wastewater treatment plant. Woodward and Curran has been our, SCADA consultant and manager down at the wastewater treatment plant. They've been, working with the, multiple remote facilities. They've done, a lot of work setting up our licensed radio frequency, updating our SCADA system. Contract 2 in the wastewater treatment plant is, has a lot of SCADA involved components. We're building a new control room for the plant, we're building a new laboratory, we're rehabbing our administration building. All of those different buildings are somehow connected into SCADA or have remote modules that review the SCADA system. So this is for Woodward and Curran to continue to oversee that through the contract too, and also, you know, review any RFIs, submittals, attend coordination meetings, factory testing of equipments and components, and then also set up Wi-Fi throughout the plant so that we'll be able to remotely view SCADA on the Wi-Fi system at the plant. It will also includes training of our guys for all of the new components and new screens and new options that are put in.
Paul, this is task order number 18. You have any idea of what we spent from 1 through 17 so far?
I don't have that number with me.
Okay. This is a communication system, basically, right? Okay, pretty sophisticated because of what we're trying to do down there.
Yes, SCADA is systems control acquisition data, systems control analog and data acquisition. So this is kind of the brains, the computer system that runs our facility, runs our main plant, runs all of our remote facilities. So, you know, this is a pretty substantial system.
Okay,
How far is the new facility, or what they've been doing down at the Bay Street? How far is that along now?
So we're currently in the midst of working on the gravity thickeners. So 2 of the gravity thickeners are offline. Demo has occurred in them, and they're starting to move forward with with all the rest of the work. The excavation for the new building is complete, and so they are well underway.
So it's a walkable area that we could go into?
Yep. Nope. If anybody would like a tour,
Yep.
We can set up tours of the facility without a doubt.
Yep.
how far down the road do you think before this is done?
So contract 2 is a 3-year contract.
So this scatter thing is gonna be, as it moves along, it's going with it and so forth, so it'll be done at the end of 3 years.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, you know, a portion of it is working in the buildings that they're setting up now. You know, a year from now, the SCADA, they'll be, you know, working on integrating all of the new dewatering equipment. You know, 2 years from now, they'll be working on setting up the new control room, and, you know, bringing all the stuff from our existing control room over. So yeah, it's gonna be throughout the whole project they'll be involved.
Question.
Do you have a handle as to just you know, just with respect to the scatter part, what that's gonna come out to roughly?
I believe in our integrated plan, we budgeted something like 1.5 to 2 million, I believe it was,
Okay,
for upgrades throughout the system.
good. Okay, does anybody have any questions?
Yes, I do. On this contract for section number 18, was that eliminated at the initial bid? Or is this something that came about after?
So the contractor has certain things in their contract that they're supplying. So all the equipment's being supplied by the contractor. This is the consultant that does all the computer programming, all the setup, all the testing, all the verification. So this wasn't part of the contractor's
Okay.
contract. We have CDM on the project as our primary consultant, but I've been using Woodward and Curran straight through for all of the SCADA stuff. I like having a, although CDM is very capable of doing this type of work, I like to have, I've found that it works out best and we get the best product. Because this is, the SCADA system is something that our guys at the plant, our operators interact with hundreds of times a day. They need to be able to use the screens, they need to be able to use the system, they need to be able to work on it. So sometimes when you get an engineer that's looking at so many different portions of the project, they're making sure that this is constructed right, this part of the building's done right, the elevator works. The SCADA system sometimes gets drifted away a little bit, you know, and it's, oh, here's this, rather than working with our staff, working with our people, seeing what we need and building what we need in the SCADA. So that's why I really like having this separate consultant that's been with us for a little while, working on the SCADA system, to be able to focus just on this.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, anybody have other questions?
No.
If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve task order number 18 for $425,000 for the installation, the portion of the installation for the SCADA system. Anybody want to make that motion?
Make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Item number 6, CDM Smith, the Route 79 Improvement Project, change order number 2 for $75,874. From what I was able to read up on it, I guess this is expenses that was incurred by CDM, and I got working with the state and working with, I guess, people in the city here, that will have an effect with respect to sewer.
Sewer and stormwater.
Sewer and stormwater, that as a result of it, it was something that came up unexpected, and it cost them $75,874, and they want to be compensated. All right, and which I can understand. This is why we have them on site. But, anybody have any questions with regard to this, Paul? Is there anything you want to mention?
Yeah, no, so again, so this is in relation to coordination with the Route 79 project, the one that they're working on now. Actually, DOT just put out the RFQ the other day. It's a $110 million project that's going to take from the city pier to Veterans Memorial Bridge. This mayor talked about it last night in his State of the City. It's going to remove that elevated expressway, Route 79, through the city, and make a boulevard in either direction, almost where Duval Street is now. It's going to open up a large section of developable area. You know, one of our major concerns, as you know, we have multiple CSOs and drainage that goes down through that corridor.
Oh, yeah.
I was, you know, I didn't want our drainage from this side, the city side,
Go.
to not be able to be planned to go through. So we hired CDM to work with Trans System, who was the consultant for DOT, to make sure that we got what we're gonna need in the future to run through that corridor, through there. There was things that in the beginning Trans System said that they were gonna do, which they needed as additional guidance from CDM on, from separate, different from what we originally scoped. But again, you know, CDM needed to watch, it needed to coordinate everything to make sure that we were getting what we're gonna need for the future. So that was part of it. There is a portion of this which is still for some future work as well, so coordination work as they continue to move through the project.
Yeah.
So this boulevard is going to be ground level?
It'll be, yeah, it'll be lowered. almost where Duval Street, north and south, almost,
Okay,
right
that's
in
good.
there. There'll be some other
I was trying
different
to
variations.
visualize this and I couldn't now answer the question.
Yeah, straighten me out on this, because I'm trying to picture this. If you go down Central Street, right, you come to the set of lights, you either go left, right, or straight.
Yep.
Now, if you go right, that part, is that the part that, when you're traveling on that works its way downward? The part that's elevated up,
79.
is that gonna get dropped down?
That's
So
all
when you
down.
when you go down Central Street, you take the right heading north. So that's gonna stay up, until you come to the bridge. So there's the bridge that has the, turnaround, Duval Street, north and southbound turnaround underneath there.
Oh, yeah, no, going to,
Right.
this if you're going to the cove.
Yep, so once you go over that bridge, the roadway's gonna come down.
Yeah, right.
And it's gonna meet Turner Street, so that's right where that new apartment building was
Right.
built.
Yeah.
So the road will dive down there and come down to that grade. So all that elevated section of Route 79 is gonna be gone.
And that's
From
going
there, it'll be down at a lower grade,
probably up to
follow-
Brightman Street.
yeah, it'll follow all the way up. And
But
when
it'll go back up though.
right, it'll
To go
stay,
back up to get to the part where it's gonna to go down to the water and all that stuff.
yeah, it's gonna stay low, President Ave, it's in that area, it's almost gonna follow what Duval northbound, kind of that same elevation. That's right off to the side, you have.
Yeah,
comes out to
that's
Duval
another ramp.
Northbound, and it'll stay
Okay.
that same elevation.
I
Once
got
you
you.
hit President Ave, it'll stay it's gonna start to rise up, because they're making another tie-in from
The bridge.
Brightman Street,
Mhm.
which used to tie in and go all the way across
Right,
prior
right.
to the Veterans Memorial Bridge being, but that's gonna fully tie Brightman Street back into those two corridors too.
So Brightman Street will be a two-way eventually.
I would imagine it's gonna go back to a two-way, and it'll come into Duval Street north on this side, southbound on this side, and all in between northbound and southbound Duval Street. Currently where Route 79 is, will be opened up for developable
Yeah.
parcels.
Okay.
It's a huge, a lot of earth movement's gonna happen.
We still have ownership of the property that's at the corner of Turner and Duval.
Turner and Duval, that's,
Didn't we buy a piece of property right that goes up against the railroad?
we're working with the gas company to do our due diligence on that property, yes. We
bought it, though.
we have not purchased it yet.
But we wanted to, didn't we?
We're working through the due diligence,
Because
yeah.
wasn't that supposed to be a staging area for our equipment when we start tying in the
So,
CSO or that's something that's gonna
Where
be
is
down
this?
there?
so within the integrated plan, so that piece that's owned by the gas company on the southern corner of Turner and Duval Street North, that parcel, as well as the parcel on the side of it, the red brick building, 609 Duval Street, was all slated for the city pier screening and disinfection facility.
Right,
So that was
that's
about
what it was.
Right, that was about an acre large site that was slated for that facility. We've been working with the owners of the Turner Street property, which is the Gas and Liberty Utilities. We did, just as early as last week, we were given releases to be able to access the property to do some additional testing on the property. The property to the south of it, 609, we were in discussions with that property owner for a long period of time. There has been another person that has just acquired that property.
But that's a property that butts up against that lot, right?
Yeah,
And that was just purchased, that whole building going all the way, heading south.
correct. We're looking at our options within that area, and what potential cost impacts may be of not having that property. And that's an evaluation that we're gonna go through and look at, and see whether there's another area where that facility could be sited, but we're very limited because that's the low spot. But we are evaluating that right now to see what our options are within that area.
So Liberty Utilities still owns it.
Liberty Utilities still owns that lot, but we've been,
We have the option on it?
we've been in discussions with them for a long time, and we're working through the due diligence.
Because I would think with what's going on down there, there are a lot of people that would just love to get their hands on it.
They have gotten a lot of
Am I right?
calls about it.
Am I right?
They have gotten a lot of calls, but they are giving us, they have so far given us the first option.
Okay,
Question. Question.
all right, so,
Oh,
go ahead, I'm
oh,
sorry.
Richard has a question.
Paul, what's gonna happen to the Pond Street facility that the gas company had?
Pond Street facility that the gas company, oh, are you talking on the
Next to the
corner of
gates.
Water and Anawan,
Yeah, next to the gates.
next to the gates? So,
They moved out of there and,
yeah,
I
from my
understand.
understanding, they moved out of there, and that's under the control of Redevelopment Authority.
Oh, okay.
I believe, don't hold me to that, but I believe. that
I know,
they
yeah,
did
'cause
by
they moved out.
Redevelopment Authority. I'm not sure what the plans are for us.
Paul,
Okay.
just one question on this. All of the land that's developable, that's already been considered how it's tied in with this project, right? Okay.
Yeah, so again, developable land isn't something that we looked at, because that's not within our jurisdiction. We looked at how to get our drainage through there to make sure that, and to make sure that the drainage and sewer in that corridor was taken care of. Other city departments and agencies are looking at the land and working with the different agencies to make sure that it, that it's
Will there
used
be
properly.
enough pitch? Do we need another pumping station there?
So if a screening and disinfection facility is needed, for the city pier area, yeah, we would need some type of pumping station to get the water through that facility.
Get it up.
But we don't need during dry weather flows, there is no pumping station needed for that area. All that sewer continues on our interceptor drain, heading to the south, and then goes down to Central Street Pump Station, which is down on Pond Street.
Okay. Thank you.
Anybody other questions?
No.
Okay, so, we need to approve this, correct? I don't
Yes.
think we've done it yet, okay. If anybody has any questions, if not, obtain a motion to approve change order number 2 in the amount of $75,874 to be paid to CDM with respect to the 79 improvement project.
I make a motion.
Second?
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None. Item number 7, West Construction Contract number 1, change order number 6, in the amount of $0. Is this the last change order, Paul, you think?
This is closing out the project.
Very good.
Yep. Project has not been 100, we're still, I think there's one punch list item left, an administrative type work, but other than that, this closes out the project.
Okay, so you still need the okay on change order number 6?
Yeah, I would like approval on this
Okay,
change order.
anybody want to make a motion to approve change order number 6 with respect to contract number 1 in the amount of $0?
Make a motion.
Second?
All in favor? Aye.
I just had a quick comment. It says here that the net benefit is a minimum of $1 million, with potential up to $3 million, so that's pretty huge to just note,
Yeah,
that this
without a doubt.
savings.
Yeah, without a doubt, and that's one of the things that took so this change order has multiple things in it, but it also extends out their timeline of the project. One of the things that they did as a value add to the project, the contractor changed from a rotary compressor to a rotary screw compressor, which is gonna have great energy savings. So far, the compressor, since it's been online about a month and a half now, it's worked great with our systems, and it's supposed to have huge energy savings.
Very good. Okay, item number 8, updates on ongoing projects.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody has any questions. We've talked, throughout the thing about contract 2 a little bit. We've talked about contract 1 is just closing out.
Are we still in the design phase for the pumping stations on Meridian and Wilson Road?
So Wilson Road, we should be out to bid probably within a month. So we have the SRF funding for sewer. We have the Mass Works grant for funding for Wilson Road. The other one that we're gonna be looking at is the Ferry Street pump station coming in the near future.
Okay, South End's all done, right?
South End's
End's pumping
complete.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
How
Yep.
many do we have altogether ongoing?
How many pumps? So we have 17 pumps.
Projects. The projects.
So,
Yeah.
no, yeah.
I forget.
Yeah, it's tough. So ongoing projects, we have contract 1. Most of the other ones have been closed out at this current time. But we do have about 3 or 4 right here on deck that are gonna be coming up, one being pump station up the north end. But projects that we have either in design or conceptual is a number of projects. We, between water, sewer, and stormwater right now, I'm probably managing about $70 million worth of projects.
Okay.
And the staff in my office, not just me alone, so.
Do you need a break?
I'm glad you said that. I was looking over at a certain part of the room and I could see flames coming out.
I could feel the daggers.
All right, okay, if anybody has any questions, we'll move on to item number 9, other potential matters. Anybody have any other potential matters? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I have an idea. I don't know if we can do this. Getting back to the gas company situation, maybe we can initiate it, and other departments will follow, because the gas company can tell you how many gas meters we have, because they're all got a queue on them for them, and look into that for saving the city some money.
Without a doubt, I think that's an excellent idea. We're definitely gonna look into it, just like we have with the electric.
Right, yeah.
We'll look to see whether that's
I
an option
assume
for
it'd be
gas.
somebody like Matt Zini or one of those fellas. But then again, it has to come out of corporate, but at least get the ball started.
Without a doubt.
You need that as a motion or what?
No, that's something that,
Okay.
that's something that
Yeah,
I will
that's
move
good.
forward with.
Very good.
Okay, anybody have any other things they want to discuss? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Wait, who made the
Make the
motion?
motion. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.